Two little girls, barely 7, huddled together on a cold, wet park bench, their clothes soaked, their tiny bodies shivering. "Please don't call anyone. We're not bad," they whispered, their voices trembling yet brave. Lucas Harrington, a lonely CEO, used to control and comfort in glass towers, froze. In that moment, the world he knew, boardrooms, deals, and endless solitude, vanished. He saw not just two children, but two hearts clinging to hope, two souls that needed someone to stay. That night would change everything. Would he walk away like everyone else had? Or would he finally show up? Stay with us to witness how a single act of compassion turned a life of loneliness into a story of love, family, and hope. Don't forget to subscribe to the Retold Stories and join us for stories that touch the heart. Lucas Harrington sat alone on a damp park bench, the drizzle soaking through his tailored navy suit. His phone buzzed quietly in his pocket, a faint vibration against his leg, but he didn't bother checking it right away. 2 unread messages glowed on the screen, one from his sister wishing him a happy birthday, and another voicemail from his late fiancée's mother, a reminder of ghosts he had tried to forget. He ignored them both and let the phone slip from his hand, landing face down on the wet wood beside him. The park was quiet, almost eerily so, with only the faint hiss of raindrops against the pavement and the muted rustling of leaves. Lucas had asked his driver for a few minutes of solitude, but he wasn't sure what he had expected to find: clarity, peace, distraction, maybe nothing at all. Since Mara's death, life had been a blur of empty boardrooms and silent penthouses. Success had become his shield, and loneliness its cost. A sudden cough drew his attention. From the misty shadows near the picnic tables, he noticed a faint movement: 2 small figures crouched under a pile of newspapers and trash bags. They were tiny, their clothes soaked and torn, huddled together for warmth. His polished shoes crunched against the gravel path as he approached cautiously, disbelief freezing him momentarily. One of the girls stirred, her wide eyes alert yet not fearful. "Please don't call anyone," she whispered, her voice raspy but determined. "We're not bad." Lucas knelt slowly, his knees pressing into the cold, wet ground, holding back the gasp he hadn't realized he'd been suppressing. Up close, their fragility struck him. The older girl, Lily, had arms around her sister Hazel, who clutched a worn, floppy-eared stuffed dog. Their faces were pale, lips tinged blue from the cold, clothes clinging to their skin. Lucas reached instinctively for Hazel's tiny hand. It was cold, limp, yet real. Something inside him, long dormant, shifted. A crack appeared in the carefully constructed walls of solitude he had built around himself. "Where's your mom?" he asked gently. Lily's jaw tightened, her gaze unwavering. She whispered that their mother hadn't woken up yesterday. The world outside the city, the office, the life he had meticulously maintained disappeared. All that mattered were these 2 small souls, vulnerable and resilient, holding on to each other in the storm. Without another word, Lucas guided them from their hiding spot. Hazel nestled into his arms, Lily following closely, her hand gripping his coat. The driver, spotting them, pulled up quietly. Lucas helped them into the back seat, wrapping them in his coat, the oversized wool somehow offering a fragile warmth. He gave the driver instructions: children's urgent care, east side. The ride was silent, except for Hazel's shallow breaths and Lily's quiet observation, the 2 of them clinging to the safety Lucas provided. At the clinic, the triage nurse quickly assessed Hazel: dehydrated, low blood sugar, mild hypothermia. Lucas absorbed the weight of the moment. The girls had been outside too long, unprotected, alone. Under heat lamps and with fluids running through IVs, Hazel slowly regained warmth and color, while Lily stayed vigilant beside her sister, calm yet watchful. Lucas watched quietly, recognizing the maturity and courage these children had cultivated in the face of neglect. It was a simple act, yet profound. He had shown up when no one else had. The trust and quiet grace of the girls were almost unbearable in their intensity. Lucas found himself reflecting on his own life. Years spent in isolation, avoiding vulnerability, chasing accomplishments that now seemed hollow. And here were these 2 children, showing him a different path, not through power or money, but through compassion and presence. As the night deepened, Lucas made arrangements for their safety. A discreet hotel suite provided temporary shelter, privacy, warmth. Bernice, his former housekeeper, flew in to help, bringing blankets, cookies, and motherly energy. The girls adapted quietly, Hazel curling into Lucas's arms, Lily observing the new environment with quiet assurance. Through small acts, meal preparation, bedtime routines, bedtime stories, Lucas began to bridge the gap between adult and child, CEO and guardian. He found joy in the mundane, laughter in small victories, and comfort in their growing trust. Hazel and Lily were not just surviving, they were thriving under his care, and he was finally learning to live alongside them. By morning, Lucas was awake before dawn, the city slick with leftover rain. The girls slept peacefully, unaware of the responsibilities and emotions weighing on him. He stared at the skyline, at the life he had left behind, realizing that for the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose beyond himself. This night had altered the trajectory of his life, marking the beginning of something larger than wealth or status, a family built through devotion, courage, and the simple, steadfast act of staying when it mattered most. The morning after their discovery in the park, Lucas woke with a sense of urgency he had not felt in years. Hazel was curled up beside him, her small hand still clutching the stuffed dog he had seen in the park, and Lily was perched on the edge of the fold-out couch, her eyes half-lidded but observant, as though gauging the world for potential threats. Lucas carefully rose, mindful not to disturb them, and checked his phone. Missed calls, messages from colleagues, reminders of deals and board meetings, everything that had defined his life for decades, blinked back at him, but today they were secondary. He prepared a modest breakfast in the small hotel kitchen, a ritual he had not performed for years. Toast, bananas, and warm cocoa for the girls, though Hazel only stirred slightly before curling further into the blankets. Lily, as always, was more composed, helping herself with quiet efficiency. Her demeanor struck Lucas anew, a child burdened with responsibilities far beyond her years, yet meeting each challenge with unwavering courage. After breakfast, he organized their room, creating spaces for their small belongings, from coloring books and crayons to Hazel's worn stuffed dog and Lily's neatly packed backpack. He realized, in a way that made his chest ache, that these small details mattered more than any boardroom strategy or corporate merger. This was life in its rawest, most meaningful form. As the day unfolded, Lucas kept to a routine that was at once gentle and structured. He took them to a nearby park, a quieter section away from the bustling streets, where Hazel could explore safely and Lily could observe and guide her younger sister. They laughed as Hazel attempted to skip stones across a pond, squealing with delight at every splash. Lily, balancing on a low wall, guided herself with careful precision, her tiny hands outstretched for stability. Lucas watched, filming snippets of their play on his phone, capturing moments he knew he would revisit not as a detached observer, but as someone deeply involved in their lives. Returning to the hotel, Lucas began the process of understanding their situation. Elena, their mother, had passed away, leaving a note entrusting Lucas with their care. Lucas held the folded paper in his hands, the weight of responsibility sinking deep into his chest. He knew that no system, no protocol, could substitute for the presence, consistency, and love he could provide. This realization reshaped him. The walls around his heart, built over years of loss and solitude, began to crumble. He coordinated with Bernice, who arrived later that afternoon, her energy and warmth filling the space. She organized clothing, bedding, and meals, turning the sterile hotel suite into a temporary home. The girls adapted quickly, Hazel nestling against Lucas during moments of uncertainty, Lily helping with minor chores, demonstrating a maturity beyond her age. The household was alive with small acts of connection, sharing food, telling stories, building little towers of toys and imagination. Evenings became a time of quiet reflection and gentle care. Lucas read to them from picture books, his voice soft but steady, weaving tales that held them rapt. Hazel, unable to make it past a few pages before sleep claimed her, rested with her stuffed dog tucked beside her, while Lily listened intently, absorbing every word. In these moments, Lucas felt a profound shift within himself. The CEO, who had once valued control and efficiency above all else, now cherished softness, empathy, and the art of simply being present. Their bond deepened with each passing day. He taught them small routines, from brushing teeth and setting the table, to helping with simple chores, integrating them into a rhythm that was both nurturing and grounding. The girls responded with trust and affection, slowly opening up to the warmth Lucas offered. Hazel's laugh became a melody in the suite, a sound that replaced the empty silence he had grown accustomed to. Lily's careful observations turned into playful interactions, and Lucas found himself laughing and engaging in ways he had not experienced in years. At night, Lucas ensured both girls were secure and comfortable. Hazel would often drift off mid-sentence during story time, the stuffed dog clutched tightly, while Lily lingered, seeking reassurance that the world was now safe. Lucas sat beside her, taking her hand, a silent promise that he would not leave. These small gestures, repeated daily, cemented the bond between them, forming a foundation of trust and stability that the girls had previously been denied. Lucas also faced the practical realities of their care. He arranged medical checkups, ensured proper nutrition, and began exploring legal avenues to secure guardianship. Each step required meticulous planning, patience, and sometimes confrontation with bureaucratic processes that seemed ill-equipped to handle such delicate situations. Yet through it all, Lucas remained steadfast, understanding that his presence, consistency, and advocacy were as vital as any formal documentation or procedure. The girls, for their part, adapted with remarkable resilience. Hazel, once timid and withdrawn, began to explore her environment with curiosity and delight. Lily, the elder, took on a protective role, guiding her sister and helping Lucas navigate their needs. Their interactions, playful yet deliberate, reflected a deep trust in Lucas, a trust that had to be earned, and which he embraced fully, knowing the fragility of their past experiences. Even in small domestic moments, the transformation was evident. Meal preparation became an exercise in creativity, with Hazel experimenting with ingredients under Lucas's watchful eye and Lily offering precise instructions. Laughter filled the air, punctuated by the occasional mishap: spilled cocoa, burnt toast. But each moment was a lesson in patience, joy, and the beauty of imperfection. Lucas felt a deep satisfaction, a sense of belonging he had not known for years. Throughout this process, Lucas also reflected on his own life, acknowledging the emptiness he had allowed to persist after Mara's death. The girl's presence challenged him to reevaluate his priorities, to embrace vulnerability, and to engage in acts of care and protection that were foreign yet profoundly rewarding. He discovered that true leadership, in this context, was measured not by power or wealth, but by the ability to nurture, protect, and sustain life with empathy and dedication. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between Lucas and the girls solidified. They laughed, played, learned, and rested together, forming the beginnings of a family that was built not on bloodlines, but on choice, consistency, and love. Lucas, once a man defined by solitude and ambition, found a new purpose: to be present, to care, and to create a safe, nurturing environment for two children who had known little safety in their young lives. Weeks had passed since Lucas Harrington had found Lily and Hazel in the park. The girls had settled into a gentle rhythm, and the once lonely CEO had embraced a life full of responsibility, laughter, and unexpected joy. But the shadows of the past loomed close. Carl Duncan, the biological father, had suddenly surfaced, filing for full custody. Lucas knew the court would consider legal bloodlines over the emotional bonds he had nurtured. Yet he also understood something crucial: love, consistency, and presence often carried more weight than lineage. The courtroom was sterile and intimidating. The walls, a stark white, reflected no warmth. The judge, the clerks, and the officers were impartial observers to lives hanging in the balance. Lucas arrived, unadorned in his usual power symbols. No tie, no cufflinks, just a man standing steady for the children who had come to depend on him. Across the room, Carl adjusted his collar, posture stiff, exuding authority without empathy. Lucas's mind replayed the girl's journey the night in the park, the wet coats, the whispered plea of "we're not bad," Elena's dying note entrusting them to his care, and the quiet resilience the girls had shown every single day. He spoke not from notes or rehearsed words, but from a place deep within his chest. "I'm not their biological father, he began, voice calm, unwavering. "But I'm the one who found them. Cold, alone, shivering. I stayed. I stayed when no one else did. Family isn't who shares your name. It's who stays when no one else will." As he spoke, he gestured subtly to the girls, who were seated safely beside Bernice, their small hands clasped over a drawing Lily had made. 3 figures, one tall, one medium, one small, linked together in a golden heart. Lucas continued, describing the routines, the care, the love they shared. Every bedtime story, every meal, every scraped knee tended with tenderness. These were the acts of a true guardian, not a man who merely claimed rights on paper. Carl's turn to speak was markedly different. He stammered through apologies, recounting supposed attempts at reform, promises of change, and assertions of love. But Lucas could see through the facade, a man trying to reclaim what he had abandoned, trying to assert authority without earning trust. Hazel was safe in the apartment, but Lily's eyes reflected the unease of facing a man who had never shown her care before. Lily's quiet courage became evident when she entered the witness room, her small hands clutching a folder. Inside was her artwork, her own story in crayons and lines, depicting the family she knew, Lucas, Hazel, and herself. The judge looked at the images, then at Lucas, understanding in a silent way the depth of what had been built. Lily's testimony, simple yet profound, emphasized not biological ties, but the family that stayed. Evidence from Elena's notes and affidavits detailed Carl's neglect, threats, and inability to provide a safe environment. The court, impartial but swayed by both tangible proof and the emotional reality before them, recognized the bond Lucas had fostered, the stability he provided, and the love that had become the girl's foundation. When the ruling was announced, Lucas was granted full legal guardianship. Carl's visitation rights were restricted, contingent on future assessments and psychological evaluations. Relief washed over Lucas, but he remained quiet, knowing that the responsibility did not end with the court's decision. The girl's well-being was an ongoing commitment. On the way home, Lily tugged gently at his sleeve. "Do you think everything will stay like this?" she asked, her voice soft but earnest. Lucas crouched to her level, resting his forehead gently against hers. "I do," he promised, "because I'm not going anywhere." Life at home became a tapestry of ordinary yet extraordinary moments. Breakfast full of laughter, pancakes and waffles crafted with creative imagination, and Hazel's giggles filling the air. Lily, ever meticulous, helped Bernice organize the small apartment, arranging books, crayons, and toys with care. Lucas discovered joy in watching them thrive, in helping them grow in ways that went far beyond what money or titles could offer. The apartment, once a temporary space, became a home, rich with warmth and security. Fairy lights framed the walls, displaying Lily and Hazel's newest creations. Crayons and pencils scattered across tables, yet each mark told a story of resilience, hope, and growing trust. Lucas engaged fully, participating in games, laughing at their antics, even learning the simple pleasure of seeing the world through a child's eyes. Hazel, once timid and cautious, explored boldly. Her laughter echoed, bouncing off the walls, creating a symphony of life and energy Lucas had not known in years. Lily, still protective but lighter, relished small victories, from perfectly flipping pancakes to guiding her sister's imaginative play. Lucas, in turn, embraced vulnerability, allowing himself to care, to be present, and to feel fully again. As days turned to weeks, their routines solidified. Meals, bedtime rituals, playful antics, and quiet moments of reflection built trust, security, and love. Lucas reflected on his own transformation, realizing that leadership in its purest form was measured not by wealth or power, but by one's ability to nurture, protect, and stay present. The girls had reshaped him, offering a mirror to his own humanity, and in turn, he provided the unwavering anchor they had so desperately needed. Through it all, the small, ordinary acts, the reading of bedtime stories, helping with homework, comforting tears in the middle of the night, laughing at silly mishaps, formed a bond deeper than any legal document could mandate. Lucas learned that love, when combined with commitment and presence, could heal past wounds, foster growth, and create a family. A family not defined by blood, but by choice and devotion. By the time the city lights began to glow through the apartment windows in the evening, the home was alive with warmth. Hazel clutched her stuffed dog, giggling at a story Lucas improvised. Lily arranged crayons with careful precision, adding details to her latest artwork. Lucas watched them, heart full, feeling a peace he had not known since Mara's death. He understood now that the greatest legacy he could offer was not in corporate achievements, but in love, care, and steadfast presence. He sat back, exhausted yet profoundly fulfilled as the girls drifted to sleep. Their trust, laughter, and resilience had reshaped his world, teaching him the extraordinary value of ordinary moments, the quiet power of compassion, and the unspoken strength of staying when it mattered most. Lucas had not merely saved 2 girls. They had saved him in return, restoring his capacity to feel, to care, and to truly live. Lucas Harrington had once measured his life by deals closed, profits earned, and the prestige of a world few could enter. Yet, in the quiet glow of the apartment he now shared with Lily and Hazel, he discovered that the truest measure of life was the love you gave, the care you offered, and the promises you kept. These 2 small girls, with their unwavering trust and gentle courage, had transformed a life built on solitude and success into a story of warmth, hope, and family. Every morning brought new routines, filled with laughter, small victories, and tender moments. Waffles piled high with syrup and imagination, crayons sprawled across the table, bedtime stories whispered softly under the glow of a nightlight. These ordinary acts were extraordinary in their meaning. Lucas watched Hazel dance around in mismatched socks, her joy pure and infectious, while Lily guided her with a protective, loving hand. And in each gesture, each smile, Lucas felt a profound sense of purpose that no corporate achievement could ever replicate. The city outside continued its relentless pace, full of noise, deadlines, and obligations. But inside, in their small, safe corner of the world, time slowed. Love flowed freely, unmeasured by titles, bloodlines, or expectation. Family was not about sharing a name. It was about staying. It was about showing up, every day, in small ways that built trust and safety. It was about offering warmth when the world had left you cold, light when darkness threatened to overwhelm. Lucas reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The rain-soaked park bench, the whispered plea of 2 frightened sisters, the promise to care for them no matter the cost. Every challenge, every sleepless night, every worry about their safety had been worth it. In protecting and nurturing Lily and Hazel, he had found a deeper humanity within himself, a connection and joy that had long been absent. And now, as the girls slept peacefully, clutching their treasured stuffed dog in each other, Lucas knew that he was not only their guardian but their chosen family. They had chosen him as he had chosen them. Their lives, once fragile and uncertain, were now filled with warmth, security, and the promise of love. In return, Lucas found the life he had never expected, full, meaningful, and deeply human. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of the power of compassion and the beauty of showing up for others when it matters most, stay with us. There are countless stories like this waiting to inspire, heal, and remind us that even in the hardest moments, love and hope can transform lives. Don't forget to subscribe to the Retold Stories for more tales that warm your heart, restore your faith in humanity, and celebrate the extraordinary power of ordinary acts.